said, look, I get it, she was in the wrong, but in the principle, like, check 1 2 3 4. Check 1 2 3 4.
Check, check.
Hi everyone, Tom Krager with the Tennessean. Welcome to the Bootleg presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. This is our live high school football show. It's semifinal Friday this week. I've got special guest Ravenwood football coach Matt Daniels in the house. Coach, thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
Big week for Ravenwood.
Huge week.
Hosting a semifinal game. And, when you're hosting a game after Thanksgiving, one, you've had a great season, but two, it's a big honor knowing this is the last game those seniors will ever play on that field.
I know, and I don't know that that's quite set in for those guys because it's been a while since we've played on that field. In fact, due to the rain issues, but our boys are definitely thinking about that, and it's going to be special because of it.
Now, we were talking off camera a little bit ago. I mean, you played at Franklin at least 1 week. Was it 1 week, 2 weeks?
1 week at Franklin, one week at Nolansville.
Yep. So you've played kind of, just because of the field. What's, the tarps? It's like Tarp City over there.
It is. A couple of the parents referenced Tarp City, Tent City.
Last week was Tent City.
Last week was Tent City.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
2 weeks ago.
You're right about that, at Cane Ridge.
Yeah.
So now we've got Tarp City. Just a huge group of volunteers and community members and parents that have helped us over the last week or so make sure that field is going to be ready to be playable. So right now it's covered up, and no rain is getting to it. So we're just crossing our fingers and hoping that those seams stay dry. And
now let's paint the picture for these guys. Now you painted the field on Monday.
Yes, yesterday.
Okay, and then you started putting tarps down. You've got the baseball tarp on it. And then you said about 25 total tarps on the field?
Absolutely, and there's probably 300. I think I talked to one of the dads. 300 bricks. We've got weights, stakes, making sure that the tarps stay down. Over the course of the week with some of the wind and rain expected. Big operation.
Why this? I mean, you could obviously probably played on a field turf somewhere in Williamson County, but what does it mean for you guys to be playing at home Friday when you could have played at Franklin or somewhere else probably?
Definitely. I think not only for our players and families and things like that, but I think about all the Ravenwood alumni that are going to be back and some of the players, part of this 2015 state championship team. Some of those guys were there this past Friday, and I think it's just more meaningful for those guys to truly come home instead of coming to Franklin or Page or something like that. So we were going to make sure that no matter what, we were having it there on Friday.
You're watching the Bootleg presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. He's Ravenwood football coach Matt Daniels. They host Houston this week. Coach, you're 12-1. Houston's 13-0. This is a great matchup. But let's be honest, I think a lot of people, myself included, thought you weren't going to be playing Houston, that maybe it would be Whitehaven. How have you had to reshift to a different opponent when, last year you played Whitehaven and you're probably looking both times, but what does it mean to get a new look?
It's kind of exciting. I think we were, in our minds, we were prepared if it was going to be Whitehaven. There was a little redemption factor for us. It would have been, like you said, a rematch of last year. But we followed Houston all year. Obviously, number 4, their running back, has kind of made a name for himself these last 2 years, just eye-popping numbers. And so we kind of knew Houston had a shot. We've been to Houston before. Actually, my first year as an assistant, back in 2016, we actually went out to Houston first round, and that was when the playoffs were a little bit different. So we snuck into the playoffs, and we traveled to Houston. We got a big win out there, and then went on to upset Mount Juliet the week after that. So we're familiar with the team in recent years, but very similar to us, similar community. I think they're going to travel well. I think they're going to have a huge crowd here. So we're very excited. It's a team that's 13-0. They're 13-0 for a reason, and we look forward to the challenge.
They're led by Lincoln Perry, a Mr. Football finalist, got over 5,000 yards. Last week he became the school's all-time leading rusher. He's also a single-season all-time rusher there for him, too. So, saw some highlights against Whitehaven, and he's definitely a guy you have to account for.
Absolutely, and our defense is playing really well right now. So I think it's perfect timing, actually. It's when you're playing this well and this consistently for 7 or 8 weeks now in a row on the defensive side of the ball. We lost our shutout streak against Brentwood, so I think our defense is kind of craving a new challenge. So I think Lincoln's going to provide that challenge, certainly.
Okay. I hope Big Reggie is not watching this. Reggie Grimes, Senior, if you're watching this, just turn this off right now. We don't want your head getting any bigger than it needs to be. So you're 8-0 since you lost to Brentwood.
Correct.
Doing some math here, that defense, Coach Grimes is the defensive coordinator, has allowed 6 points a game in the last 8 games. This defense is playing like I think a lot of us thought it might be playing all season long. It's really picked up the second half of the season.
Absolutely. I mean, those numbers speak for themselves, and there's been 4 shutouts across that span. So super impressive. The kids have totally bought in. We had a few guys come back from injury, one of them being Jordan Smith, who's just a key cog on the defense because it enables guys to be in certain spots when he's able to play that outside linebacker position. So things have fallen together, fallen in place like we thought it would. And, it takes a while when you get a new coordinator, when you get a new scheme. It takes a while not only for the kids to buy in, but to start operating like they know they should be.
You brought up Jordan Smith, and I think he's probably maybe the biggest person to come back because it's allowed you. Well, he missed like the first half of the season. He's a linebacker. It allowed you to take Reggie Grimes to the defensive end spot, and he's done really well there. But it also adjusts. I think some of those O linemen that were playing both ways, maybe they don't have to take as many reps.
Correct.
So I think that right there, that one person has really started a whole trend for you guys.
Absolutely. It was a domino effect. And not to mention, Jordan's leadership. He's just a guy that he's a workman. He's got this workman-like mentality. He's fun to watch on the sideline. He never gets too emotionally high or low. He just goes about his job. We got him back on the offensive side of the ball against Brentwood, gave him a few carries, had a great opener to set the tone. We ran a fake reverse. He ran for about 45 yards. So, he's a very special part of that defense, and they're playing with confidence right now, and that's the most important thing.
With you defensively, I noticed against Cane Ridge that you were able to put a lot of pressure on their backfield. And I think a lot of it is maybe that putting Reggie on the defensive end and getting some pressure from different places. What has made that you seem to be getting a lot more pressure on the quarterback? Is that a change of scheme, or is just personnel really picking up? Or
well, I think we're fortunate enough to have some guys personnel-wise on the D line that are just extremely athletic for their size. When you combine Brian Rice, Reggie Grimes, and Miles Dawson, who not a lot of people know, but Miles Dawson is right up in the top 3 in sacks in the state of Tennessee. So when you get those guys who are so quick off the ball and they're so strong, you can do a lot of different things, and you can end up getting pressure with only 3 or 4 rushers. So we've been able to do that.
Yeah, Miles Dawson he's made some big plays for you guys. And like I said, Brian Rice had such a great year last year, and everyone knows about Reggie, but this guy's kind of come. If you didn't know anything about him, man, watch him on Friday night because he's got a motor on him.
Absolutely, he's fun to watch, and obviously getting Reggie involved on the offense too. Our guys have decided to step it up a notch in the playoffs, and you've seen that across the board, special teams, offense, and defense. So we're on a fun run right now.
We talked about the defense, the offense in the last 8 games, 38 points a game, and I think even he would say Brian Garcia had a really rough outing the first time against Brentwood. The 3-4 times I've seen him since, he's played like everyone knew he could in what he did last year. He's really, he's got I think 4 interceptions for the season. I was telling someone I can't remember the last game he threw an interception. He's been so good for you this year.
Absolutely, and with our offense, taking care of the football is of top importance, and Brian has understood that this year, and he's matured so much, especially over the last 8 weeks. Things that we've asked him to do in terms of staying inside the pocket and running when it's appropriate. He's bought into all of it. He's taken it to heart. He's more coachable than he's ever been. Really, really fun kid to coach and work with, and obviously his numbers speak for themselves. 36 touchdown passes, only 4 interceptions.
That's
4
amazing.
more rushing touchdowns. He's got 40 touchdowns and 4 turnovers. So he's been leading the charge, and I know he's looking forward to another semifinals.
So Tony Rice, is he going to be okay?
Yeah, Tony's working himself back. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. I know he didn't play last week. I don't think he played last week. Had an ankle, whatever. Didn't look too serious.
No. We were being precautionary, and when you've got a backfield of 4 or 5 guys that you trust carrying the ball, it makes it a little bit easier to give rest.
That offense is moving the ball regardless with him in or without in or out of the lineup too.
Absolutely. But it was important for us. He's a senior. He's been a 1,000-yard
Mm-hmm.
rusher the last 2 years. We wanted to get Tony another game.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Coach. The hair. Not talking about my hair. It is shorter than normal. It was just this is just a normal haircut. This guy here though. What? Tell me before you show it. Tell me about what you told the team or told the fans.
Well, yeah, it was actually one of the student section leaders reached out to me and
Okay.
said, "Hey, you remember a couple years ago when you dyed your hair blonde for the Brentwood game?"
Mm-hmm.
So I had made a deal a couple years ago. I thought that was forgotten about, but
Okay.
of
Someone
course,
found a picture. Probably.
somebody found a picture and brought it back up and asked if we'd make a similar deal. So
Okay.
sure enough, at the pep rally a couple weeks ago, I said that if we beat Cane Ridge, if we made it to the quarterfinals, then I'd do a mohawk and
Okay.
we'd do it in front of the school and we'd do
Mhm.
it on a Friday. So last Friday before Brentwood, had one of the players attempt. I say attempt because it wasn't a very good attempt, but
Okay.
attempt to shave a mohawk,
Okay.
and then our assistant principal, Dr. Mason, fixed me up a little
Okay,
bit after
good.
that. So step one was the mohawk.
Okay.
Um, said then if we beat Brentwood, that mohawk would be dyed red,
Okay.
which has not happened
The
yet.
Friday is that a Friday
That's
thing?
tomorrow morning.
Woo. Okay.
Tomorrow morning.
All right.
And then the third and final step would be if we get this win on Friday night, that got to find somebody to shave a raptor head, our logo, in the back
Yeah.
in the back of the mohawk. So
So that definitely don't let the students try that. You don't know. You may not.
I'm
have
smarter
a head
than
back
that.
There. Yeah. So what's it look like?
So it's a little messy with the
Okay.
with
Little
the hat
hair,
head,
but
but
yeah,
it's
that's
kind of a true mohawk here. I
Okay.
know I've had some parents talk about that's not like the 80s and 90s punk
No,
mohawks
no,
that
that's
I'm
not.
used to, but if I gelled it up, it could get pretty serious.
What's family think of this?
Well, we can't do pictures,
No
around
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving and
Yeah.
Christmas. So
Okay.
that's unfortunate. But my daughter laughed. I've got
Okay.
a 1-year-old
Yep.
daughter, and she kind of giggled and laughed at it.
Mhm.
So I'm only imagining what she's going to say when it's bright red
Does
tomorrow
she know it's gonna
afternoon.
be bright red?
She doesn't know.
Wow.
We've talked
Yeah.
a little bit about it,
Yeah.
but I don't think she understands that quite yet. But it'll be interesting to see how she reacts tomorrow afternoon.
Coach, beginning of the season, some knucklehead sports editor or high school editor decided I'm gonna put you guys number one in the state and put all the pressure on you and Middle Tennessee, whatever. Best team, Middle Tennessee. He said no one's gonna touch them. And I'll be honest with you, we talked. We've mentioned. I think I've told you flat out. I didn't think early in the season. I didn't think you played like that.
Right.
I think there were times where they just seemed to take plays off or just didn't play well together. I think that's probably this. They weren't gelling. When do you think the gelling really came together?
I mean, I think you mentioned it before, talking about the defense and the offense since that Brentwood game. I
Mhm.
think any time that you have a lot of expectations, both
Mhm.
internal and external, and you're coasting early,
Mhm.
4-0, you come off a big win against Pulaski Academy, we can do no wrong. And Brentwood humbled us.
Yeah.
Brentwood humbled us, and I think it's a very healthy thing for a high school football team, especially one that's as talented as ours, to be humbled. And I'm not talking about just the players. I'm talking about the coaching staff.
Mhm.
I'm talking about the whole program. So we were humbled. We were humbled by our rivals, and we recommitted from that day. And I
Mhm.
think you've seen that
Mhm.
really since week 5. So very proud of our kids the way they recommitted.
I've got Cecil Joyce from the Daily News Journal off stage. I think I told him this team is starting to play like the team I thought they were going to play like earlier in the season. I mean, you can see the pieces falling into place, which is as a head coach, I'm sure you're seeing that too. As a man, and maybe it's a Jordan Smith healthy and can play again. It's to get that piece right there, and maybe that's the final. Hey, that allows us to make some tweaks everywhere else. I mean, that's got to help your team. Being able to make some adjustments during the season and make your team better.
Definitely, and I think that just adds to the confidence factor, and I think then you build some confidence and you start having fun again. And after all, high school football, man, if you're not having fun, then it's not worth it. And I think our boys have been having a blast.
So Thursday's Turkey Day, Thanksgiving. Will you practice there? Will you feed them there? How do you treat Thanksgiving practice? Because I hear like everyone says, man, it's nothing like practicing on Thanksgiving Day.
Absolutely, and we want our kids to spend time with their families. We want our
Mm-hmm.
coaches to spend time with their families. So we get that Thursday run through done early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be out there about 9 o'clock, and
Mm-hmm.
got a special treat. Some of the moms are gonna bring some donuts
Good.
on Thursday morning, and kind of start the metabolism going a little bit
Okay.
before those guys go home and stuff their face.
Do you tell them to stay away, stay light on the turkey? Because everyone talks that turkey gets you all tired and all that. Do you tell them? Seriously, do you tell them to take it easy on the turkey, to eat whatever, eat something else?
We do
Uh-huh.
in kind of different words. We want them to enjoy and
Yeah.
have fun, but we always tell them the message every week is take care of your bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Hydrate, be smart about what you
Mm-hmm.
put into your bodies, and get sleep. And
Mm-hmm.
so we kind of keep that message consistent.
You're watching the Bootleg presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. He's Matt Daniels, head coach at Ravenwood. I'm Tom Krager with the Tennessean. Coach, before we leave you, what's this season meant to you? I mean, you get to the semifinals last year. You're up at halftime. It looked like, yeah, okay, you're coasting. You're going to be fine. And then Whitehaven makes that move, and they come back and they beat you guys. To be a year later back where you're at, what does it mean for you in this program to say, okay, we've got another shot at getting to Cookville?
I mean, the entire off season was about that second half of the Whitehaven game, and we had shirts made that said 24 more, and it was
Mm-hmm.
representing those 24 minutes that we
Mm-hmm.
felt like we let go and we fell short. So, to recommit after week
Mm-hmm.
5, and to build upon performance after performance, and be in that position again. Our kids are certainly not taking it for granted. They know that we're one game away from Cookville, and that was the goal all off season. So very fortunate. We feel very fortunate, very lucky. Things have fallen our way, and we've worked hard for it. And I think our kids are going to come out ready to play on Friday because of that.
Coach, appreciate you as always.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hopefully, I'll see you in Cookville. I'm going to be somewhere else, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Uh, hey, big game here, Ravenwood High School. If you don't know where to go Friday night for a high school football game, if your team's done, probably arguably the best game in the state be played at Ravenwood High School. It's 12-1 Ravenwood going to be hosting 13-0 Houston. You got a Mr. Football finalist in Lincoln Perry who just ran past all those three Tennessee committed linebackers at Whitehaven. Now it's their turn to slow him down and get a chance to go to Cookville in the state championship game next week. So 7 o'clock kickoff at Ravenwood. Ravenwood hosting Houston. Coach, great having you.
Thank you so much.
Stick around here. I'm going to bring up Cecil Joyce next with the Daily News Journal. We're going to go over our top games from Middle Tennessee. I think there's like 7 of them, Cecil. I think that's right.
I didn't count, but that sounds
7 or
right.
8 games here. So we're going to go through this relatively quickly. We got in 2A. We don't have anyone left in 1A. In 2A, we've got Trousdale 11-1. They're going to Meigs County 12-1. Of course, Meigs County, they're led by Mr. Football finalist Aaron Swafford. Their Navy commitment. He was the Mr. Football in 2A a year ago. Blake Satterfield's in his first year as the football coach at Trousdale. Satterfield name is synonymous with Trousdale County. Clint Satterfield is the director of schools. He also won 5 state titles during his tenure as the football coach. Clint's father, Blake's grandfather, Jim Satterfield, also won a state title before he became the director of schools at Trousdale County. So they go to Meigs. Cameron Rankins and Kobe Ford are big offensive weapons there at Trousdale. Trousdale, of course, finished runner-up a year ago with Coach Wagner there. And Cecil, I'm going to say right now, Trousdale County 24-21 is my prediction. I think Trousdale gets it done. They get back to the Blue Cross Bowl.
Yeah, Meigs County got me last year. I'm not putting any faith in them this year.
Okay.
I like Trousdale the way they've been playing.
Mm-hmm.
The revenge win over Watertown was
Yeah,
huge.
exactly.
I'm going to pick them by a toe. I got 20-19 Trousdale.
Okay. In 3A, we got Covington 11-2 versus Pearl Cone 13-0. This is a game that was moved to Glencliff today. Their field got tore up quite a bit last Friday in their win against Giles County with all the rain and stuff, and then they hosted East Nashville the week before, so that field was deemed not in a great shape right now, so they've moved that game to Glencliff, folks. So if you're in Nashville, if you want to see the Firebirds 13-0, best season in they're trying to be the best season in Pearl Cone history. They've never had an undefeated Pearl Cone team. They get Covington, who they lost 2 years ago in the semifinals. I was at that game. It was a field goal as time ran out, I believe. So I like this Pearl Cone team. Martino Owens over 1,800 yards, 26 touchdowns. They've got Kendrick Breedlove, who just got an offer from Auburn. They've got Barry and Brown, a sophomore wide receiver, just got picked up an offer from Tennessee. They have a lot of dynamic weapons. Covington's on a roll. They've been a little bit banged up this year. Marcus Hayes, who was a Mr. Football Finalist a year ago, he's kind of their bell cow, but he's been banged up a little bit. Thoughts?
Uh, Pearl Cone has been on a mission all year. I think early in the year we foresaw a Alcoa Pearl Cone Finals, and that really could come to fruition this week.
Yeah, they're both in. Both teams are in it. I'm going Pearl Cone 35-27. I'm concerned. Here's where my concerns are. Covington is red hot right now. Pearl Cone, yes, they haven't lost a game. The last 2 weeks, I think they beat. I think they beat East Nashville by 9, and they won by a touchdown by Giles County, which was I think 4-6 in the regular season, and really turned it on in the postseason. Coach O'Connor did a great job with that Giles County team getting them to the quarterfinals. But I think 35-27. But I'm concerned because they've had a couple close games the last couple weeks. But part of that might be just playing rematches.
Close but playoff games don't bother me. Their schedule this year has been so tough. That's prepared them for where they are right now. I've got Pearl Cone winning 27-16.
Okay. In 4A. Nolensville 11-2 at Elizabethton 13-0. The fourth year of school, Nolensville. This is the third year playing varsity football. This has been a Cinderella season for Nolensville, and 11-2. You think, well, Cinderella. Well, they've never made it this far. This is their first ever semifinal game in the program's just third year of playing a varsity schedule. They've got a Mr. Football finalist in Tim Kutris. He's got almost 1,000 yards receiving, 14 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I think he's had 16 interceptions over the last 2 years. He's a Liberty commitment. Love their quarterback, Ryder Gallardi. He's had a great season, over 2,200 yards and 25 touchdowns. But man, Sean Witten is a heck of a coach at Elizabethton, and of course, Coach Witten. He's got a great quarterback himself, Bryson Rollins. He's got over 2,000 yards and passing and almost 800 yards rushing, 40 touchdowns. They're going to lean a lot on Bryson Rollins and Cade Maupin. He's got 1,400 yards. I mean, those two guys are just so instrumental there, and I wonder if Coach Witten has called up his brother Jason and said, okay, what are the Cowboys doing these days? Is there any trick plays we can pull off this week? But I like Elizabethton in this game. I think they have played a brutal schedule. They go up there in that Upper East Tennessee in 4A. That east side of 4A is really tough. You got Greenville, Anderson County up there. I like Elizabethton to kind of double up on Nolensville, 42-21. Kind of hoping I'm wrong there, but I just think Elizabethton is probably destined to win the 4A title.
Yeah, I think they've been, if you can be as tradition-rich as they've been throughout the last 2 or 3 decades and be an underdog, they've played that role well. Everybody's talked about Greenville this year. Everybody's talked about Haywood this year. And here they are at 13-0. I like Nolensville had a great year. Kutris has had a great year. I think it ends tonight, Friday night. I'm going to go with Elizabethton 24-20.
Okay. Haywood 12-1 at Springfield 10-3. This is like deja vu all over again. This is like Groundhog Day. It's not Turkey. It's Groundhog Day. It's like third year in a row these two teams have played in the semifinals. Springfield won the first one in 2017. Haywood won the second one in 2018. Now we got the 19 matchup. Haywood 12-1, Springfield 10-3. This has been a really well-coached job by Dustin Wilson. Last year they graduate their quarterback, they graduate Fat Cat, Dayron Johnson, and they graduate their running back. The top 3 offensive players graduated from Springfield last year, and they've done it with Cavante White and Cavantez Hudson are the two big weapons they have, a quarterback and a running back. And but here's why I like them in this game. Haywood is so banged up. Cecil's supposed to say, how banged up are they?
How banged up are they?
The top 3 offensive players, top 3 players on this team are out. Tennessee commitment Darian Williamson, he's out with an ACL. Running back Atlex Evans, he's out with an ACL, and right now, athlete Andrew Reed, shoulder, he's out. So the top 3 athletes for Haywood, now they're loaded with athletes, but this has got to bode well for Springfield. I mean, you still got a quarterback, Andrew Stanley's thrown for 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns, but because of all these injuries, I'm going to go Springfield pulls off what I would consider an upset, 21-13 at Springfield.
I've gone with Haywood all year. Banged up or not, I still think there's just too much talent on the field. Springfield's done a great job. I mean, how great of a job has Coach Wilson done with this team?
Yeah,
Three straight years to be in this position.
They won a region title, and I would think they would get in the playoffs, but not be a region champion.
I know they hope they can keep hold of him for years to come, but I'm still going to go with Haywood in this game, 30-17.
Okay, we're going to move to 5A. Dyer County 11-2 at Summit 11-2. I'll be honest with you, I thought this was going to be Henry County Summit. I mean, I really thought this, all playoff long. Dyer County, of course, pulled off an upset of Wednesday. Pretty lopsided loss in the regular season. This is actually the game I will be at. I will be at Summit Friday night, and we'll go over our coverage plans in a minute. But, the twins, Destin and Keaton Wade, they lead Summit's offense. They have played so well. The fact that they've had to go from the 5A level, you've had to go to Gallatin. Of course, they had that delay because of the road problem. They win at Gallatin, they win at Page, they win at Shelbyville, and now they get a home game. I think they've been so battled.
That's 3 great wins right
there. Yeah,
there.
because this Shelbyville team, a lot of people were saying all year that Shelbyville team might have been the best team in that region. So beat 1 and 2 in that region, avenge their 2 losses, and to beat a Gallatin team that was much improved under first-year coach Chad Watson there. So I like this Summit team, but man, Dyer County, I mean, LaQuinton Wells, Choctaws, one of the best nicknames in Tennessee high school sports. The Choctaws, he has 1,814 rushing yards and 38 rushing touchdowns. Think about that for a minute. 38 rushing touchdowns, and their quarterback, Dane Patterson's thrown for 1,400 yards and 14 touchdowns. They can score a lot of points, but I think this Summit team has played really good defense. I'm going to go Summit in a nail-biter, 24-21.
I'm going nail-biter as well. I've got 28-24 Summit. You got to love a team that's won the 3 games Summit's won, but how do you discount beating Henry County in the state quarterfinals? So,
exactly.
This might be one of the games of the state as well.
Yes. In 6A, going to wrap it up with these last 2 games. This is where you will be at. Oakland 13-0 at Maryville 13-0. I tell you what, the 2 6A games are 2 great matchups. I mean, you got 13-0. I mean, it's what, playoff game at home?
State semifinals against Knox Central in '99.
So something's got to happen, right?
Something's got to give in a lot of directions. Both teams are averaging around 40 points a game. Both teams are allowing 8 points a game. Something's got to give.
Yeah.
One of them's not going to score 40, or one of them's not going to give up 8.
I'm just going to throw a score out there. Maryville 31, Oakland 28.
Sounds a little familiar.
Does it? I just got picked it out of the blue.
This game is on TV Land, by the way. This is its 6th rerun.
Oh, this is on TV?
This is its 6th rerun. It's TV Land.
Oh, TV Land. Okay.
Yeah, since we're in the rerun of the 6th season of this show.
Yeah.
But that score sounds a little familiar. Were you in Maryville 2 years ago?
I don't know what you're talking about. I just threw it out.
Okay. I'm gonna go Oakland 24-20. I'm number 27 in a row.
Okay, there you go. Good one. Good pick. Good. I think this could be a game. I think it's gonna be in the 20s. I think it's gonna be close. When we talk, we kind of talked a couple weeks ago or a couple days ago. Basically, Oakland team walks in there, they're down 10-0.
Yeah, it's a
because
of the home
field advantage, because of just the mystique of that field, and those Maryville kids know they don't lose on that field.
They protect the home turf. There's no doubt about that.
I mean, it's just you got the
Oakland held a late lead 2 years ago in the state playoffs there in the state semifinals, and Maryville reeled off 10 points in 8 minutes to win.
I know they got beat 38-0 last year, but I mean they didn't have T. Hodges, and I think this Maryville team, Derek Hunt has this team playing a lot better. They're very senior laden.
Yeah, they've got most of their players back from last year's team, whereas Oakland, did a little bit of revamping. I mean, especially on the defensive front.
Yeah, defensive front, you don't have Joseph Anderson down there, and what is it, Christian Cantrell?
Christian Cantrell.
Yeah, those are 2 big hosses up front that you don't
Woody
have.
Washington, who's at Oklahoma right now in your defensive secondary.
Just Woody Washington over at Oklahoma, yeah. in the secondary there. And it's when you had Woody on one side and Diari on the other, that was two great corners.
And offensively, you had T. Hodge miss 3 games this year. What do? They have, Parker McGill rushes for 1,000 yards for them. I mean, they have depth all over the place.
Final game, we've talked about it. Had a coach Matt Daniels on the show. Houston 13-0 at Ravenwood 12-1. Lincoln Perry. Man, this kid is. I tell you what, coach, guys. I said it earlier. You need to go if you want to look for a good game. Go to Ravenwood. Lincoln Perry is worth the $8 to $10 price of admission himself. He has been a phenomenal guy to watch play the last couple of years. Seen a lot of highlight reels of this kid. It's gonna be fun just to watch him play to see how the defense at Ravenwood how they slow him down, how they try to slow him down. That's going to be a really key storyline to watch in this game, I think. I think it's going to be a great matchup. And then you've got the aerial attack of Ravenwood and Brian Garcia. I mean, he's played so well in the season, especially the second half of the season. Andrew Mason, who was a Mr. Football semifinalist.
Yeah, he's just fast. He's faster than fast.
I'll be the first one to tell you. I think he could have easily been a finalist personally. But, that's a great matchup there. I just think this is a great high school. The 6A games, I think they got it right. I think the semifinals are right. And, yeah, could we have had them maybe at different matchups? Probably some people will say, oh, Oakland shouldn't have to play Maryville every year. Go ahead and play them. You gotta play them at some point anyway. I mean, it's like, do you want a silver ball or gold ball? You want a gold ball, you're going to beat them anyway, right?
That's right.
That's just my point.
If you're going to win the state, you got to beat the best.
So I'm going Ravenwood 35, Houston 21.
That's a good score. I'm going to say that Perry is going to get his, but they're not going to get to the championship game. Jake Brenningstool is going to be the X factor in this game. Can Houston stop the mighty tight end? I don't think they can. I'm going Ravenwood 28, Houston 21.
Well, that's the thing. They got two really good receivers. You get Brenningstool and you get Andrew Mason, but he's got some other guys that people didn't think about. So that's the part of Ravenwood where on offensively it makes them so good. I think Trevor Andrews, Shane Craig is back. I know Coach, just tell Shane my knee's still a little sore when he clipped it a couple weeks ago against Cane Ridge. But I'm put some dirt on it. I'm fine. I'm a gamer. We're gonna keep going. So well, folks. You've been watching the Bootleg presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. He's Cecil Joyce. I'm Tom Krager again. A lot of great games in Middle Tennessee. I'd strongly, if you're in the area, go to Ravenwood. Is one of the top games in the state. 6A semifinal. They're going to host Houston and Mr. Football finalist Lincoln Perry at 7 o'clock at Ravenwood. It's a great 6A semifinal. Of course, you can go online and look at all the preview capsules in the state and kind of decide where you want to go. If you're in the city, you want to stay close to home, go down to Glencliff and see Pearl Cone. So with that being said, we're almost to the championship game. It's been a long season. We're almost to the championship games. We'll see you next week on the Bootleg.